Hello. As you can tell, I am freshly showered and in my jammies, and I'm not gonna put on makeup and I'm not gonna put on an outfit because I'm cozy and we're comfortable with each other on this channel. At least, I hope we are. So, I've got my scrunch in, letting it air dry, and I'm in my jammies for the night. And we're gonna do a monthly reading wrap up, as we do every month. This month was a little bit light for me. I still read 11 books, but honestly, that's kind of light. It's been almost a slump. Obviously, I've still been reading, but like just not as much. I was also moving, which there's a moving vlog up already. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it because I'm in a new place. So let's get into all the books that I read this month. First, we're going to start with This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. This is her third book, and I enjoyed her first two, but I do think this was my favorite of the three. It's set on Prince Edward Island, which is just dreamy. I loved the setting. I loved like friendship. Anytime there's a long distance friendship, I don't know, I just love books about friendship where the romance is there, but there's like so much else. It kind of reminds me of Happy Place, like it's best friend's brother, and it's told like then and now. It's just all in all really good and my favorite of her books so far. So she has redeemed herself from, I don't know, I still think I gave her last books like 4 stars, but this one was definitely 5 stars. So I'd recommend this one. If you didn't like her other books, definitely pick this one up because it's very good. Next, I read A Rivalry of Hearts, which was an arc on my Kindle. This is by Tassanja Odette, and she wrote the Entangled with Fae series, which I really enjoyed and gave 5 stars. Like, that's a 5-star series for me. So I was really excited to get the arc for this and read it. But this is where my slump kind of came through. I just could not get into this book. I did end up finishing it and I did give it 3 stars, but it was not drawing me in and I was like not feeling motivated by reading. So unfortunately that book got the brunt of it, and it took me like a while to read it. But the basic premise is that a human woman is on a book tour in the Fae lands. So she's written these books and they are not popular in the human world, but they are very popular in the Fae world. And so she goes on a tour, and her tour partner, they're like competing for a contract for their books. He's written a book and she's written a book, and only one of them can get this like really prestigious like contract that they both want. So they make a bet, and as you know, Fae bets are binding, or maybe you don't know that, but they are, and they have to kind of work through it together. It's like rivals to lovers. It was good. Unfortunately, I did fall victim to a little bit of a slump. So 3 stars. Next, I read A Major Puck Up, which is a dad's best friend. So it was an 18-year age gap, and it was a hockey romance. Well, hockey adjacent. He's a hockey coach, so he's not actually a hockey player. And it's single dad. I mean, it was bad. What do you want me to say? Did I read it quickly? Yeah. Was it good? No. I gave it 2 stars. I wouldn't really recommend it, but if it sounds good to you, pick it up. It was definitely a quick read. Next, I read Love You Mean It by Jilly Gagnon. Not sure how you pronounce her last name. This was a new release. I read it on my Kindle, and I'm like, maybe I need to buy the physical copy of it because it was really good. I did end up giving this one 4 stars. The premise of this is that they're like rival business owners, and they strike up a deal because they end up actually having the same interests, like goal. And so they strike up a deal where they're gonna fake date to kind of stop this deal from going through so that her business can stay open and he can do what he wants with like the property. But it was really good and like sweet. I don't know what to say except for I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I never read anything by this author before, so I would recommend. Next, in honor of Pride Month, I did pick up Cleat Cute, which is a lesbian romance. It's a soccer romance. It's 2 players that play for, well, they end up playing for the U.S. Women's National Team, but they also play like on a club, professional team in New Orleans. And the 2 main characters are Grace and Phoebe, and Grace is like an all-star. She's a veteran. She's been playing for years, and Phoebe is like new, freshly recruited, and they have like a friends with benefits situation, which I normally don't love, but I thought this was well done. And if you like soccer, this is a lot of like soccer, and women's soccer specifically has had some like time in its spotlight because of like the pay gap and all that jazz, and I think this like addresses it really well. It was 3 stars for me, but I would recommend. I also have a special edition that has like these illustrations on the inside, which are really fun, and the hardback is like also embossed, so it's very pretty and I enjoyed it, but not my favorite. Next, I actually listened to this book, which is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. I had obviously purchased the physical copy and then also had it on Audible because my mom and I share an Audible account and she was listening to it. So I was like, I had a road trip ahead of me. I had like a 3.5 hour long road trip and I was moving. And so while I was packing, I would put my AirPods on, play this, and get to work. And then I also had, like I said, a long road trip where I finished this. But the premise is that the main woman, Lauren, she one night returns to her flat in London and there's a husband there. She's not married, she's single. And she come to find out that her attic is supplying her with husbands. So when they go into the attic, a new one returns, and the whole premise is she keeps like cycling through husbands, and she's trying to figure out like how to fix it. Is there anything she can do? And it was really good. I would highly recommend. It was a Read with Jenna book club pick, and also I love the cover. The premise was different and interesting. It's rom-y, but also like just literary fiction-y. So I would recommend if you're into that. And I gave this one 4 stars, but I would really say it's like 4.5, but on Goodreads it's 4. Then I read Not in Love by Allie Hazelwood. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, so it has a picture in the front, and this has gotten mixed reviews. Some people really did not like this one. I will say that I gave it 4 stars. It's probably my least favorite of her books. It's different for her. It's definitely not rom-com. It's definitely more like just erotica. I don't know if that's the right way to. She has a author's note in the front that kind of talks about it. She says it's less of a rom-com and more of an erotic romance. So yeah, the com is light in this. There's definitely some deep issues that the main characters are working through, Rue and Eli, and it's a STEM adjacent romance. Like, she's a doctor or a scientist. There's a hostile takeover. And so it's like, again, there's a little bit of a friends with benefits situation. Like I said, when I was talking about Cleat Cute, that's not my favorite. It was definitely started with lots of physical attraction between the two of them, but you actually do get to see the emotional connection between them grow, which I think is it's a really good connection. So I recognize that some people didn't love this because it's different than her other stuff, but I also think it's not a bad book. It's different, and if you don't want that, that's okay, but I also think it is really well done. But know what you're getting into before you pick this one up. Next, I read Emma of 83rd. This is a Jane Austen retelling of Emma. It's set in New York. If you know the story of Emma, that's what's happening here. It's just a retelling of it. It's Emma Woodhouse. She's like an Upper West Sider, and she falls in love. And I think George Knightley is one of my favorite book boyfriends. I love him. I also read the original Jane Austen, Emma, this year, and I just love him. Like, his love confession, if I loved you less, I might be able to talk about it more, is so good. And needless to say, I gave this one 5 stars. I loved it. And these authors, it's actually by 2 people, Audrey Beleza and Emily Harding, have a Pride and Prejudice retelling coming out later this year, and I'm psyched for it. So can't wait to pick that up. Next, I read A Deal with the Bossy Devil, and this is a fake dating, rivals to lovers, boss, kind of. It's not really her direct boss romance. It was good. It was a Kindle Unlimited book that I was just like, this looks good enough, interesting. I might as well check it out. So I did. And I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. Next, I read The Plus One, which is actually a third in a interconnected series, and I have not read the other ones. I did not realize it was interconnected until I went to look at Goodreads and log my books. But this was a brother's best friend. There's a little fake dating in there, but it's not like a main plot line. It's really like brother's best friend. He has PTSD. And so there's a lot, and she's a psychiatrist. There's a lot of talk about mental health, which I think was actually really well done, but it was kind of unexpected. I gave this one 3.5. I think it was good, better than some of the other Kindle Unlimited, like random books that I will pick up, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I didn't expect the deep of it, and it was actually really well done, like I said, but I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't prepared for it. Didn't really want it. And then finally, we have the Rom-Com by Devin Daniels. And I only have to assume that Devin is a woman, but I am actually not sure. Devin could be a man. This is kind of like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. She is a writer for like a women's magazine, and she gets inspired to like write this story trying to like trap a man using tips from the 1950s that her grandma gave her, like a list of tips that her grandma gave her from the 50s. And her like person that she's trying to like trick is the owner of like the rival company. So she writes for Siren, which is like a women's magazine, and he owns Brawler, which is like a men's site. And there's some animosity there, but it was really good and fun. Jack is the MMC, and he was so sweet and so good. I thought it was well done. I think that's a new-ish release, and I'd never read anything by Devin before, so good to like discover someone new that I really enjoyed. And those are all of the books that I read this month. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you will come back. I filmed a mid-year book tag, which is going up right after this, and I have a part 2 of a moving vlog coming out soon. So I have lots of videos ready to go. I'm gonna get this one up before then because I want it to go up as close to the end of the month as possible. But those are ready to go, so subscribe, stick around if you want to see those. Follow me on Instagram, on TikTok to see what I'm doing the rest of the time when I'm not filming these videos. And I'll see you guys somewhere else on the internet. Love you.